President Im Jongbak has pledged to help low-income families as soon as next year's budget is passed. 5 Korean conglomerates have said they will not force the restructuring. And the logging has begun for the restoration of Sunun. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Thursday, the 11th of December. I'm Namo Kim. President Im Jongbak has hosted a meeting of former government officials and senior academics. He says he'll help low-income families as soon as next year's budget is passed.
President Im Jongbak has hosted a meeting of 22 senior statesmen and scholars, including former prime ministers, parliamentary speakers, and university presidents at the presidential office. He's explained how the government is dealing with economic difficulties and has asked for advice. President Lee says he'll immediately adopt measures to help lower-income families given the tough economic times. He predicts the economic crisis will likely not last long and is urging Korea to prepare to adapt to the new world order after it's over.
위기가 끝난 뒤 세계 질서가 어떻게 바뀔지를 염두에 두고 대응책을 마련해야 한다고 강조했습니다.
Those attending the meeting criticized disputes between political parties and urged the president to unify the nation to overcome economic difficulties. They also proposed bold action in public investment and regulation reform. Afterwards, President Lee nominated civil members of a national committee on construction policy. The members included Yang Yoon-jae, whose 5-year prison sentence for his involvement in the Cheonggye Stream scandal was overturned this year. A presidential official says Yang was recommended by a civil academic society for his expertise in Seoul's urban structure.
5 major conglomerates in Korea have said they will not force a group-wide restructuring despite the worldwide economic slowdown. This suggests that they want to overcome the crisis by recruiting skilled employees rather than by reducing the number of their staff.
Korean conglomerates said there will be no enforced corporate restructuring. Samsung officials said extensive corporate downsizing will not take place across the group affiliates. Instead, there will be just ordinary personnel adjustment. Hyundai, Kia Motor Groups also made it clear that no enforced layoffs are planned except for some typical turnovers seen from previous years. LG and SK Groups have added they're also opposed to enforced restructuring. LG chairman Koo Bun-moo stated at the meeting of the subsidiary presidents last month that corporates should not lay off employees during the economic downturn. SK Group also plans to turn the situation around by recruiting talented employees in the wake of Chairman Choi Tae-won's recent instruction to design a post-crisis business plan. Unlike other leading foreign firms, Korean conglomerates show no plan on extensive layoffs following the recent financial slowdown. Yet other Korean businesses are postponing their restructuring or employment. The outlook for next year's employment market still remains murky.
The military is suffering from a severe lack of non-commissioned officers who play the critical role of bringing officers and enlisted soldiers together. The problem has led to many cases of equipment failures and a falling morale, but the military is citing a lack of budget.
An armored vehicle unit takes part in a drill on a rugged, mountainous terrain. A non-commissioned officer under military law must operate the tank, but only half of the drivers are non-commissioned officers.
지금 계급이 어떻게 됩니까?
병장입니다.
그럼 원래 병장이 해야 되는 역할인가요?
조종수가 모자라는 관계로 병장이 하는 단차도 있습니다.
Tanks are so big and heavy, an inexperienced operator could cause a devastating accident. Enlisted men who've served less than 24 months are relatively unskilled. This has led to frequent breakdowns and subsequent undermining of fighting power. The Defense Ministry says about 20,000 non-commissioned officers are needed, but has recruited only half that number. The problem is lack of budget. The ministry needs nearly $430 million to hire 10,000 non-commissioned officers.
군부사관 지원할 사람은 많은데 요즘 워낙 안 뽑고 있는 것 같습니다. 청년 실업 해결 차원에서도 군부사관은 하나의 방법일 것 같습니다.
The ministry has presented to the National Assembly a budget proposal to recruit 1,900 non-commissioned officers next year. But experts say Parliament will probably give enough funds to meet only half of the target.
A Russian academic has begun educating Russian teachers that the Dokdo Islets are Korean territory. He states that the islets had been governed by Korea since the 6th century, and he based that on historical sources. Here's more.
A debate was held in Moscow, Russia, under the title Dokdo Islets, Korean territory since 6th century. Valery Glushkov, vice president of the Russian Academy of Sciences, said historical documents prove that Dokdo Islets are Korean territory. Japan had raised issues over the islets in the Treaty of San Francisco. Glushkov said making the matter seem disputable was against the international law.
То есть они изымаются из юрисдикции Японии, но кому они переходят?
He says Korea's sovereignty over the islets has been acknowledged internationally just as Russia's sovereignty over the Kuril Islands since the Second World War. Geography teachers at the debate also claimed education should be supported by the historical evidence.
Это объективная реальность. И, конечно же, на своих уроках здесь я об этом говорю постоянно, что именно эти острова принадлежат Корее.
Russian geography teachers visiting Korea say they can't wait to tell their students about how dynamic and active Korea is.
The logging of Kumgang pine trees has begun in Samcheok in the eastern province of Gangwon. Wood from the trees will be used to restore Korea's national treasures, such as the traditional gates of Sungnaemun and Gwangamun in Seoul. Sungnaemun was severely damaged earlier this year, and its restoration is slated for completion by 2012.
10 months have passed since an arsonist severely damaged Korea's national treasure number 1, Sungnaemun. This restoration work seeks to turn back the clock. The cutting of Kumgang pine trees has begun. The wood from the trees will be used to restore Sungnaemun. 20 majestic pine trees in the forest near Samcheok, Gangwon province have been chosen for the project. These pine trees are 100 to 250 years old and average 74 centimeters in diameter and 23 meters in height.
그만큼 송진이 많이 껴있다는 얘기예요. 나무가 이제 단단하게 저렇게 되면은 비가 맞아도 잘 부식이 안 되고 그래서 상당히 그 재질이 좋은 거죠.
10 trees will be dried and then used to make the pillars and beams of Sungnaemun and Gwangamun. If the plans proceed as scheduled, the restored Gwangamun will be unveiled in 2010 and Sungnaemun in 2012.
The Seoul Metropolitan Government has unveiled a plan to restore its small streams. Seoul's small streams that have nearly dried up will have water flowing in them again by 2020.
Hongjae Stream used to be dry unless it rained, but the stream started flowing again since June. Water from the Han River is heaved to the upper part of stream using electricity. The Seoul city government is planning to restore 54 local streams in Seoul by 2020. Streams that have been dried up will be restored to the natural state. Under this project, Hongjae and Bulgwang streams have been recovered this year. Dorim, Danghyun, Ui, and Kodok streams are also be renovated next year. And an additional 10 more streams will be restored by 2012. Streams covered up with concrete and cement will be uncovered. For those that are supposedly difficult to renovate, will turn into small brooks and paths for people to stroll along. The project is expected to cost at least $464 million. Seoul is planning to organize a council consisted of public workers, private firms, civic groups, and residents to perform more efficiently.
A single mother and her son have been prevented from becoming homeless after a devastating fire ravaged their home. Here's how their neighbors demonstrated a spirit of true charity.
A single mother and her young son saw their home burn. In an instant, their home was turned into a pile of ashes.
어머니께서는 쓰러져 계셨고 화재로 인해서 전소된 그런 아비규환 상태.
Under the terms of her leasing contract, the mother would have had to leave the home after her security deposit was refunded. But her neighbors would have none of that, saving her and her son from the edge of despair. The neighbors removed the damaged home's sooty tiles, put in a new floor, changed the lighting, and installed new windows. Firefighters raised funds to buy the mother and son furniture, a TV, and refrigerator. The mother and son are back home a month after the fire. The day they moved back also happened to be the boy's birthday. The neighbors held a small party to celebrate the home's restoration and the boy's birthday. The place may be small, but it's been rebuilt with neighborly love.
The Chunam Reservoir has become a new winter habitat for Baikal teals, internationally rare migratory birds. The reservoir is near Changwon, South Gyeongsang Province, which recently hosted the 10th conference of the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands.
Thousands of Baikal teals soar into the sky. The blackbirds freely fly and dance in the sky. The birds repeatedly gather and scatter as a form of a roll call. And then they fly to as far as Kimhae in search for food. And they return early next morning. Some 80,000 Baikal teals have visited Chunam Reservoir. This is the largest number ever since 1984, when Baikal teals were first found near the reservoir. Chunam Reservoir is the second largest migratory place following the Kum River. The rare birds have found their winter shelter here.
수심이 낮고 활동 환경이 굉장히 좋고 또 어로 작업이 진행되지 않고 있어서 지금 가청어리가 많이 활동하고 있습니다.
Baikal teals arrive in Korea mid-October and return to Siberia in early March. Fishing is prohibited until late this year, and various kinds of migratory birds will flock into the area.
Hikers need to take special care to prepare for wintertime activities due to the dangers involved. Here are some suggestions for those who want to brave the freezing wind and plummeting temperatures for winter mountain climbing and camping. A variety of mountaineering items are available in Namdaemun Market at half the retail price. This store welcomes many avid hikers shopping for their wintertime hobby. They have to be thoroughly prepared for the winter cold and accidents before they can truly appreciate the beauty of snowy mountains. The first item on the shopping list is a pair of sturdy hiking boots.
이제 등산화는 너무 무겁지 않게 적당한 무게로 해서 일단은 방수가 잘 되는 거를 고르셔야 합니다. 방수가 제일 첫째 중요하고 그다음에는 이제 발목을 좀 높이해서 발목을 잡아줄 수 있는 그런 모델을 꼭 고르셔야지만 발목 접질리는 일이 없을 거예요.
Make sure that the boots have rubbery anti-skid soles for solid footing. Putting on spiked soles under your boots can keep you well balanced on icy, slippery paths. These are called spats. They look like leg warmers worn over the shoes, but they're great for keeping snow or mud from getting inside your boots. Another must-have item is a hiking stick. You need this to keep your balance. You need at least 2 pairs of gloves, a thin pair and a thick pair. Lastly, a hat with ear flaps will complete your look for winter mountain climbing. Many campers set up camp at the foot of a mountain to enjoy the winter scenery. Winter camping is considered an extreme outdoor activity because the cold and wind can get unbearable at times. First, the tent should be fully waterproof and designed for conditions all year round. Place a mat on the tent floor to prevent the chill from coming up. A portable folding bed is a great way to have a warm night's sleep. Another way to keep warm is to bring heating appliances. Campers use electric heating pads, heaters and portable boilers.
지금 여기 물을 끓여가지고요. 여기를 따뜻한 물을 보내면 밤새 모터를 돌려가지고 여기 위에다 이제 이불 깔고 밤새 따뜻한 물이 계속 도르니까 춥지 않게 잘 수 있거든요.
A heater replaces a bonfire for heating the living room area. In the kitchen, a camp stove, often called a burner, comes in handy when cooking a meal. Sometimes a Dutch oven in the shape of a traditional Korean pot is used to make rice.
좁은 공간이지만 함께 할 수 있어가지고 그게 더 매력적이죠. 여름은 좀 더 멀리 떨어져야 되는데 좁은 곳에서 함께 할 수 있는 거. 그게 매력이죠.
Careful preparation is certain to make winter hiking a more enjoyable and safer venture. And let's now check out today's economic indicators, and that's followed by world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. Join me again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching.